So whether all are ready, sir?
Yep.
Good morning, and welcome to the next 6G Leadership Tech Talk. Bharat 6G Alliance have been hosted Tech Talk series with the eminent personalities in their field, and today we have two experts, Mr. Håkan, who is Director of Advanced Technology, CTO Office, Asia Pacific, and he'll be joined by Mr. John Yazlle, who is a global head of fixed wireless access at Ericsson. I am sure that both will take us through the technology aspect of this FWA and how it's one of the killer applications or use case in 5G as well as 6G. With this, I welcome all the participants who have joined. They are representing even the members, non-members from Bharat 6G Alliance, and there is a YouTube link also given in the public chat, so one can even use that as well. So thank you, and I welcome both the leaders. I invite Professor David Koilpillai, Chairman of Bharat 6G Alliance, for setting the tone. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pathak, and good morning to everyone. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to each of you to this technology leadership talk by Bharat 60 Alliance, and a very special word of welcome to Mr. Håkan Olofsson and to Mr. John Yazlle for making this presentation, for accepting our invitation. I'd like to say a few words just to set the context. Bharat 6G Alliance is part of the group that is building the 6G ecosystem in India. And one of the areas for us is to identify key technologies as we prepare for the migration towards 6G. Also looking at 5G, where we are in India as a country, how the rollout has happened, how we have seen very fast rollout, crossing more than 500,000 sites, and also looking at what are some lessons learned from 5G. Particularly in the area of monetization and from an operator perspective. We have heard in multiple forums from various stakeholders that fixed wireless access is a key technology, not only in 5G, but also as we look at the migration towards 6G. So we thought that it would be most appropriate for us to have a leader in this field to talk to us about what has been their experiences about the technology, what is the market, where do they see opportunities, what are some lessons learned, and so sharing with us a lot of valuable lessons. And we are hoping to bring in other members of the ecosystem who are also working on fixed wireless and also look at it in future talks. But for today, we have two experts. I would like to once again welcome Mr. Håkan Olofsson and Mr. John Yazlle, and thank you from the Ericsson team for taking this initial presentation on fixed wireless access and for giving us a broad perspective and an understanding of what this technology is and what the promise it holds for today and for the future. So over to you, Håkan.
So thank you, and I have given you the rights. It's all about 45 minutes for you, sir, and then we will answer any question at the last after the presentation. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pathak and Professor Koilpillai for the kind invitation. We're really happy to be here from Ericsson, and you might know that Ericsson is deeply embedded in the India ecosystem of telecom since many years. So more than 120 years we have in the country, came here in 1903 already. So it's very nice to be here and to contribute to the success of the 6G ecosystem as well, and to contribute to the Bharat 6G Alliance ambitions and goals. So this is one of the tech talks we run in the Alliance. We also have other activities like white papers, and we're really happy to contribute to the different working groups going forward as well, not only in fixed wireless. But today is fixed wireless focus, and again, I'm Håkan Olofsson. I just recently joined the CTO team here in Asia Pacific, and I'm based out of Delhi, so I'm really happy to be here in India, perceiving firsthand the great 5G successes you've had here. And maybe a couple of words, John, so we hear that you are audible as well.
Yes, thank you. Really a pleasure to join this session today. I think it's a really great opportunity, and we are very proud of the developments of fixed wireless in India. And we think that there is a lot of opportunity ahead of us in 5G and in 6G, of course. So looking forward for this conversation.
Good. So let's start. So we plan to run this session in two major blocks. So first of all, where are we? A little bit how we got here as well, but mostly about the state of the art in fixed wireless access, and taking examples of what leading operators are doing, both globally, but also in particular in India. So we take a few examples on that. Then we have a block about where we are going. In the introduction, you mentioned that how does it fit together with the 6G ambitions? And indeed, we need to look at 2030 plus and see what are the growth predictions of this connectivity service and how does it fit in with the broader 6G ecosystem. And so we'll try to cover that. It will be not only technology details, it will be the business and the overall strategic outlook. So I hope that's also appreciated beyond the technical details. So maybe if we go into the next slide, maybe just a super basic recap of what fixed wireless is. So in the picture, you see a household here with several devices and several members communicating with probably Wi-Fi in the building here. But somewhere you have a device sitting which is communicating with a public wide area network, 4G or 5G today, and or a combination. And that device we call the CPE, customer premise equipment, and that constitutes the termination of the 5G network. And then you have the outside network serving both smartphones and fixed wireless access CPE, customer premise equipment, in combination. And that's the beauty of this, as we will explain further in a while. But just we set the scene of what fixed wireless access is in very basic terms. And of course, it can address households like this, but it can also address small, medium enterprises, for example, that needs connectivity and where fiber is not available. All right. So if we go into the current state of play, just to paint a little bit history picture about the mobile industry and where we come from. So the 2G, 3G era, or even 1G, was very much about connecting everyone with voice and SMS. Then towards the later part of 3G with the high-speed packet access, we got into the mobile broadband era with the smartphone coming around, the first iPhones and Android phones. And 4G was very much about mobile broadband as well. Then some of the innovation in technology we could reap the benefit from in the 5G era. So we have massive MIMO that enabled mid-band TDD to become a very, very powerful frequency band. We have the carrier aggregation with lower bands to get the seamless experience throughout the area. Throughout the cells, and we have the new core network, 5G standalone and 5G advanced features as well, and so on. So we have done quite a lot of innovation in 5G that enables what we now see to the right in the picture. So we scale beyond the phones to fixed wireless access in red, so broadband to the homes and enterprises, but then AI applications, AI, AR glasses, expanding to new sectors like enterprise and mission critical, everything from public safety to even defense sector. We have the whole differentiated connectivity paradigm with SLA-based connectivity service that are tailored to certain application types rather than just being a best effort pipe. And then finally, we have this beyond connectivity parts, which we look forward to even more in 6G, that the base stations of a network is actually able to do sensing of unconnected devices, for example, as well. And we can also monetize certain other aspects of the network and assets in the network, like the position of connected devices, for example. So there is a bigger picture here that is important to understand. A fixed wireless access connectivity service has been able to ride on that broader ecosystem in the past, and we are confident that that will also can happen in the 6G era. So now going into the fixed wireless access as such, we see broad uptake, and in fact, the fixed wireless access service, the broadband to homes and to some extent to enterprises, has been one of the success stories of 5G. So beyond the smartphone, this is the most prominent moneymaker now for many operators. And we see successful launches globally, and you can see all continents are in the picture, including, of course, Airtel and Jio and India. But we also see that happening in many other countries. And depending on the state of the art with regards to fixed broadband, so how much DSL copper broadband we have and how much fiber we have in the ground to households, there needs to be an adjustment of exactly what you offer in the different countries. And we come back to that very soon, the segmentation, how different operators in different countries have formulated their offering to the market. So if we dive into this one step further, maybe John, you can take over from here and talk about a little bit of the numbers, how it actually looks globally now.
Absolutely. So just to put some context of the developments of fixed wireless globally. So if we start on the left of the picture, you see here the fixed wireless adoption. And you see on the larger bar is how many operators have fixed wireless. And this is primarily 4G and 5G together. You see that around 80% of these 300 service providers globally that we track have fixed wireless offerings. And then you see that inside of those 80%, you see there are two bars. The darker gray bar is how many of those are offering through 5G. And you see that that percentage has been growing since 2022, around 37%. Now it is over 65%. And next week, we're going to show that tracking as of April 2026. So we keep tracking that on the mobility report. And then the other, in addition of 5G, the other big trend we track is how many are offering speed-based fixed wireless. And speed-based fixed wireless, as Håkan was saying, this is selling a service that you buy a speed. Sometimes they say you buy 100 megabit, 200 megabit, similar to what you would buy for fixed broadband services. And we see that with 5G, more and more service providers are increasing that type of offering. So you see 54% have these type of offerings. And that offering resonates as consumers understand that type of service level. But you see globally large trend, but when you look at regional, we see still large variations. You see some regions like North America, all service providers have fixed wireless. 90 close to 90% of those are on 5G, and 100% of those offerings are speed based. Then if you go for Latin America, still 55% have fixed wireless, but the 5G adoption is much lower and speed base is lower. So we still have a way to go across different regions. So development is happening in many markets, but is still not consistent across all markets. Then if we go to the next page, once you start adoption, on the next page here, you see uptake, which is how many fixed wireless connections are in the market. And here are some data points based on service providers or regulator information. But you see, we have seen a strong uptake in fixed wireless access connections since launch. You see both in the US, Verizon and T-Mobile, they have been growing a lot of fixed wireless. AT&T is also growing. So combined, they have around 17 million 5G fixed wireless connections. And you see that they even have targets to continue to grow and maybe almost double their connections until end of 2028. Then you see that other parts from Western Europe, here I have an example for Italy. We have countries in the Middle East and Gulf countries. We have markets like Japan that have over 95% fiber homes passed, but still you see fixed wireless there. You see Docomo. You have examples from Australia like TPG. And then, of course, we see a lot of developments in India. And here we are highlighting Reliance Jio. They have over or almost 13 million connections, and they have large ambitions to continue growing that. So we see a lot of fixed wireless developments. Then, of course, you see that the numbers here are very different. So if you go to the next page, because the size of the countries and they started at different points. But if you would say that all countries are on a similar size of 100 million inhabitants, and if all operators have launched at the same time, you would see that they are growing at similar pace. So we see very good growth across different markets. And I think that's encouraging to see more and more service providers launching it. And I think sometimes even the ones that are coming later, they are really growing even faster because now the ecosystem is even larger globally. Device prices are lower and so on. So I think it's good to see good development globally. Then if you go to the next, I think here what we want to highlight is just to give an example from a consumer point of view. If you would in India want to buy broadband service or fixed wireless, so if you would go for Airtel, they have been selling fixed wireless since mid 2023. And then you can buy different type of services. You can buy 40 megabit, 100 megabit, and then you can buy different TV services together with that. And that is, let's say, the home broadband offering that they are having today. So that is what service providers are offering. And then as Håkan was mentioning, you typically would put outdoor antenna outside of the home, in the balcony or in the roof. And sometimes you even, if you are in an apartment building, you would share that with maybe one or two neighbors, and you would have wiring connecting different homes. So that is the typical market. But if we go to the next slide, we see that looking at consumers, we see that there are different type of value propositions or customer needs that are being addressed. So I think it's and here maybe the most typical one is this wireless fiber. You really want to have a fiber-like service, but you live in a location where there is no fiber yet. So fixed wireless can be a way to address that. But there are other consumers that maybe you say you want to have a more value broadband service, a more cheaper offering, entry level offering. Fixed wireless could address that. Service providers that maybe in other type of countries than India, you still have legacy copper network, and they want to replace those and modernize. Some of them you're gonna go for fiber, but some of them they say it will be too costly to replace with fiber, so they will replace with fixed wireless. So that's the DSL replacement. Then you have some maybe urban nomad, could be someone unprofessional, just moved to Delhi. Maybe they have a short-term contract for renting apartment. They buy fixed wireless because they know they're gonna live there 1 year, and then maybe 1 year they will move to another house. Then you have other type of pain points from rural broadband, or you have a secondary home, home in the countryside that you also want connectivity to work or do entertainment. You have maybe in the city areas, historical districts, or underserved areas that you also need connectivity. And then sometimes it's even if you are living in a gated community or on apartment, sometimes you have only choice to one provider, and fixed wireless could be a way for you to bypass that and get a second provider. So you have multiple consumer needs that can be served by fixed wireless. And again, this is not just consumer. So if we go to the next page, you see also for enterprises and businesses, you have different type of offers. And this could be connecting unconnected premises from construction sites or new facilities where you don't have wiring yet. Replacement of legacy technologies or even redundancy. You could have small office, home offices, rural broadband similarly. Sometimes you have this monopoly challenger thinking about maybe airport or shopping mall. The property owner provides broadband, but if the tenant wants to have an alternative, fixed wireless could be a way to address that. You have temporary pop-up kiosks or stores. And you have, again, a similar type of migration to own net fixed wireless instead of renting technology from others. So multiple type of business needs for enterprises, but also governments. So fixed wireless can address many different things. And it's important to understand that because depending on the need, you say, okay, what type of solution and technology you need to prepare for. So if you go to the next one. So if we then try to zoom out and say, we have been tracking fixed wireless for a long time, and we try to say, okay, why and what is driving the most markets to succeed on fixed wireless. And that's where this framework comes. We see that to succeed in fixed wireless, they're driven by two main aspects. The first one is building network capabilities. Maybe you started on a 4G network, you deploy 5G, then you're going to deploy more of that 5G high capacity mid-band TDD spectrum. Then you migrate to 5G standalone, and then you go to 5G advanced. And then at a certain point, you're going to go to 6G. So you are building network capabilities. And these network capabilities gives performance. They give competitiveness to other broadband technologies. And these enable capabilities to bring attractive fixed wireless offerings. So you go from 4G to 5G, and then you go from a speed, not selling best effort. Then you go even for with standalone for premium experience, selling guaranteed services. So you create more attractive offers. And the more attractive offers you get, you really can fulfill those customer needs that I was talking about. So then you get that adoption. You get high promoter score, so consumers feel I have an offer that fit my needs, and they keep the service. And then you create monetization for service providers that will generate returns for reinvesting on that network, and you create this positive reinforcement cycle. So if we go to the next page, you see that we try to rank multiple markets across these different dimensions. And we are taking here for the network capabilities, the level 2, let's say 5G mid-band population coverage. And for fixed wireless offerings, how many are 5G speed-based? And we see that when you plot multiple markets, we see on the top right corner the countries that are really succeeding with fixed wireless. They are the countries that are on that top right corner because they have attractive offerings and they also have deployed a lot of 5G midband. And you see India there among those. So really great to see India succeeding in both of these dimensions. But when you look at the world as an average, we see still on the middle of the picture. And we see a lot of countries that have potential more on the left side that are not there yet, even if they have a long-term potential. So I think that's a bit on the status globally and how we see that fixed wireless journey. So if you go to the next slide, I just want to give an example of how these work in practice. So the United States, I think it is probably one of the best examples. We've seen service providers deploying 5G mid-band to 95% population coverage. With that, all service providers have 5G speed-based offerings. And then consumers feel, I have a great network, I have a great product that resonates with me. And fixed wireless has been capturing almost all broadband net additions in the United States over the past 4 years. So really very strong success. You see there fixed wireless growing, adding almost 1 million connections every quarter. And if you go to the next page, just to highlight again, you see the fixed wireless growth on the left, on the y-axis, correlating with the 5G mid-band population coverage. So you really build that 5G network with high capacity across the country. And that bringing this high capacity 5G network in locations or cities, outside cities where you don't have fiber or all the technologies, you are really reaching the consumers that have the need. And you see that uptaking and how those two things go hand in hand. And also you see the net promoter score, consumers really being satisfied with the service that they are getting. So I think this is a good proof point of that. Then if you go to the next one, and here I think it's we maybe were alluding a bit on the what is the fixed wireless product because we see different type of fixed wireless products, and I think that's important to understand what do we mean. So here you have, let's say, 5 theoretical houses. So the first house is the tethering or MiFi. Think about a battery pocket router or just doing tethering on your smartphone. So sometimes this is not fixed wireless for us, but this shows that if users don't have any alternative, they will do that to have internet at home. Then the first level of fixed wireless is what we call best effort fixed wireless. You are having maybe an indoor device that looks like a cylinder or that you have Wi-Fi, and usually that has been very popular with 4G. You would buy some buckets of data, 50, 100, 200 gigabytes. Sometimes it's prepaid, and service providers have been doing that with 4G, but you have no priority. The user just buy that service on the shop and then they take their home to any location. So that has been very popular, and as you saw in the beginning, still over 40% of the service providers are only offering best effort. Then with 5G, you start service providers to continue with that model, but then they are enabled to have some speed level, and usually they have average or typical speeds. So that's what we have seen in many markets. Maybe they ask you to type your address to see if you are eligible to that service or not on this service level. So that is the first step of speed based. Then you go to the step number 4, which is tiered speeds. And here you can have indoor devices, but you start to see these type of outdoor antennas that you put on the roof or balcony. And then you're buying speed levels similar to the Airtel offering I was showing. Maybe you buy 40 megabit, 50, 100, 200, 500 megabit, depending on the location. You need to type your address for location. But here at this point, you start to put priority to guarantee that you are having that service level and also serving TV service and so on. And then the most advanced with 5G standalone, you can do slicing, you can do a partition of the network. So you take that level of speed to another level to guarantee experiences. And then here you're using primarily outdoor CPs. You're not selling only the maximum speed, but you also guarantee a minimum floor. So the user really make sure that you're going to get that service level. And that is the premium experience which 5G Advanced and 5G Standalone is enabling. So you see, again, the network capabilities enabling an evolution of services. And I think that is that trend that I was mentioning. So if you go to the next slide, I want to highlight, so Reliance Jio, they are on that differentiated connectivity. They are using 5G Standalone and slicing. And you see that they are having an offering that is actually technology agnostic. You type your address, you can buy a service, and the service is a combination of speed and content. So you can buy 30, 100, 550 megabit. And then you have a combination of linear TV channels and also streaming apps. And then depending on the location, they will provide either fiber or fixed wireless. So that's a bit of this idea when you can have 5G slicing in a very simple way, what they are providing. And they have been very successful, close to 13 million fixed wireless connections. And you see that today, close to half of their fixed broadband connections are fixed wireless. And that has been growing successfully just 2 years over launch. And I think this speed of growth and fast time to market is also a remarkable development. So that's a bit on what we see happening for fixed wireless. And maybe we'll go to the next slide. And I think I'll hand to Håkan to talk a bit more about other parts of that.
Yes. So to dive one step deeper in how to work with fixed wireless offerings, we brought this slide, and probably it's a little bit too detailed, so it's a very busy slide. But the point of bringing it is to highlight the fact that when you plan for fixed wireless for a suburb, for a part of a city, for a rural area or something, then it becomes very quickly a local play. So it's different from a national launch of a mobile broadband service of some app or something like that for a smartphone. This is about very much assessing the willingness to pay, the needs of a certain local area. And it becomes very similar to what has been done for fixed broadband based on copper or fiber for many years. So it's about strategy and planning, the product development, sales go-to-market, and these are all local assessments. And the market looks in that local area needs to be matched as well with the network situation in that local area. How much spare capacity do I have in my mobile broadband network to offer something on top? How is my ability to expand the capability of the network in this area? Do I have spectrum to deploy new radios in, and so on? So it is a mix of bringing the capabilities or the knowledge from fixed broadband with the knowledge of mobile broadband operation and wireless network operation together and form a launch plan for a certain local area. And that process needs to be done then for all areas that we want to cover. And for converged operators, having that fixed broadband arm from the beginning and mobile broadband as well, these assets and capability can be reduced. And for the mobile-only operators that we have seen in the world, like T-Mobile in the US, for example, they have to add that capability to assess the eligibility for users and the areas of interest on the local basis. So I think this is a longer discussion, but we wanted to bring this, and we wanted to also talk about the next slide as well, that brings a little bit perspective of planning forward. So if you look at the left-hand diagram here, simplified, very simplified, it's talking about a year zero when you have a certain mobile broadband situation in blue, the number 1 there. And then if you want to launch fixed wireless in the same area, you need to make a forward planning. So the first step is to look how much mobile broadband traffic we will have maybe 3 years down the line. So year X here, we will have more mobile broadband traffic, of course, since we have traffic growth there. We then give a perspective of network expansion. So number 3 is talking about how much will I be able to expand my network and what is already in my expansion plans. And that gives a headroom in number 4 in the purple area for fixed wireless in the future again. And then we can backtrack to years 0 again. What does it mean? How many customers can I onboard today that will consume a certain traffic today that I can handle, but also tomorrow in the year X horizon? So it needs to have the planning of fixed wireless into the network on top of mobile broadband. Needs to have that perspective of what can I do today and what can I do tomorrow, and what does it cost to expand the network accordingly. So that whole exercise is what the leading operators are doing today, and they are very successfully accomplishing that as well. And one thing that differs from mobile broadband and smartphones is that we know where the homes are. We know where the devices will be. So we can make this, you can type in the address that John mentioned, and thereby we can also include that in the planning exercises. Where are the current customers and where are the coming customers? And we can make a more surgical dimensioning exercise. So that is a little bit about how these more advanced fixed wireless access offerings are already done today. And we can look at to the right as well about how capacity is used in the network. And this is a graph over the 24 hours of a day, when we see that the mobile broadband traffic and the fixed wireless traffic are all using the same total capacity of the network. And they have coinciding or different busy hours. So the traffic, of course, varies over the day. And we can use that in order to squeeze out the most of the total capacity of the network. And then we also drew this line of slicing. So if you want to protect the fixed wireless from the mobile broadband, if you have a surge of capacity for some reason on mobile broadband, we can protect it by slicing, and vice versa as well. And this is actually a precursor to a future state when you have differentiated connectivity and a lot of different connectivity services potentially, and using slicing then to protect and safeguard the different services from each other, so to say. And this now is kind of meant to be a segue to the future as well, because we talk a little bit about planning here, and the next step in this presentation is to go forward as well, to talk about what can we expect in the 6G era. How is fixed wireless embedded in the 6G ambition overall, and how can fixed wireless benefit also from the 6G ecosystem, and how can 6G benefit from that scale that fixed wireless and all the customers and data brings? How can 6G benefit from that? So we have a few forward-looking parts here as well. And first, John, if you want to go through some more numbers, looking forward this time.
Exactly. So let's take us to 2031 here. So we are expecting fixed wireless to reach 350 million connections. That will be serving around 1.4 billion people globally. And you see that by 2031, 90% of the connections will be 5G fixed wireless. You see that 4G fixed wireless is declining. And there are multiple drivers that we see that there is a large addressable market, both for consumers or business that want high-speed broadband. 5G is really enabling that. We'll talk a little bit about sustainability, this fast time to market for fixed wireless to build networks and bring connectivity in a very short time frame, which we see happen in India, for instance. This high satisfaction that I mentioned, the global scale, and that ecosystem bringing even more affordable devices. And then the technology readiness and that road to 6G that creates strong future proofness of the technology for continued investments. So if we go to the next page, just to put that forecast into context. So globally, end of last year, there was about 1.7 billion fixed broadband connections globally. We expect that to grow to just over 2 billion by 2031. And this growth is about new connections, both connecting the connected, but also new homes with demographic growth. We're going to see that we will not close the digital divide by 2031. But in addition to that new connection growth, we see a big shift also with declining legacy technologies with DSL and cable going to high-speed internet. And you see here, most of the growth, over 95% of the growth will go to fixed wireless and fiber. Satellite will also capture some of that. So you see here is that big shift, and the fixed broadband is a growing market. So if you go to the next, we will also be more autonomous. Sustainability continue to be very important, and also resilience of networks. So we're gonna see multiple new requirements coming in that will put impact on the networks. So if we go to the next, then here we want to give some learnings from other countries on really closing the digital divide. So on the left, you have some insights from a study that we have done when we look at 8 countries, primarily in Europe, but also Canada. When we look at their accumulated capex investments on fixed networks over 10 years, and you see the correlation of those capex investments to the fiber coverage, and you see that the curves they start somewhere flat, and the more you start going to homes past over 60%, 70%, you start to see that the costs of building wired networks start to increase exponentially. And I think that is an important backdrop to think about what are the principles for fixed broadband coverage. If you go for fixed only model, you're gonna have this dotted line with costs increase exponentially. And just to give a perspective, the costs to covering from over 60% to 95%, these are 4 to 5 times higher than the cost of covering the first 60%. And that's demographics and just the wiring cost as houses get more and more separate from each other. And that's why we see that if you use a mix of technologies, putting fiber in the cities, and then as you move away from cities, you start to add more fixed wireless, you're gonna deploy those in a much lower cost, but also with a much faster time to connecting those. So we see these mainly fiber fixed wireless opportunistic in the maybe first 60%. Then we're gonna have a mix of fixed wireless and fiber. Then we have primarily fixed wireless, and then in the far last 5%, we're gonna have a mix of fixed wireless and satellite. So that's more or less the view of how we see really closing the digital divide, optimizing capex, time to market, but also optimizing the technology deployment. Then if you go to the next, I think here we want to highlight sustainability. So in our latest fixed wireless handbook, we did a study showing what's the carbon footprint of multiple technologies to serving that last mile. And that study was primarily focused on the fiber and FWA, which have the lowest carbon footprint. And we see that in that study, how fixed wireless and fiber play a role, and also the total CO2 footprint from building to discontinued networks. And we see that copper has a much higher carbon footprint than satellite also. So I think sustainability also is one key important aspect on that equation of selecting multiple technologies. Then you go to the next one, and I hand back for you, Håkan.
Yes, we thought that towards the end of this session, we should broaden the perspective a little bit and talk about fixed wireless as a part of the overall 6G ambition. And we broaden it even further to say that we have a few mega trends or cornerstones of digitalization of any society or enterprise sector. And we wanted to bring connectivity and fixed wireless into that context. So that hence this slide. And we talk about the cloud as one fundamental cornerstone in the digitalization of society. Since at least 10 years now, we have had tremendous investments in data centers across the world. And the hyperscale growth have been just tremendous. Now, recently, we've added AI capability to those, and this continue at a very rapid pace and huge investments both in India and elsewhere to have data center capability for training and for inferences as well. But then we have the third cornerstone here, which is connectivity. And as soon as the AI application or cloud application interact with the real and physical world, be it consumers interacting with their smartphones or their watches or other devices like AI glasses in the future, or be it enterprise or mission critical sectors with IoT devices or even smartphone there as well, physical AI, robotics, and so on. As soon as that is there, then there needs to be very reliable connectivity, moving data to the training centers in the data centers, and also in inference decisions going the other way around. So we see this as an intelligent fabric in the future, with AI, cloud, and connectivity together forming the cornerstones for digitalization. And of course, within that connectivity piece, you have broadband to homes, to enterprises, where the device is fixed. So we see it as fixed wireless as an integrated part of this whole picture. And that picture is what will make India and other countries successful in the future digitalization ambition. So with that in mind, then we see a number of use cases to be handled by the future 6G connectivity beyond 2030. And some of them have evolved from 5G and some are new for 6G. We have a few examples of AI native applications to the right, consumer centric on top and machine centric or enterprise mission critical centric at the bottom. But common for these are that they need to communicate over 6G in many cases and use devices of various kinds, including mobile devices, but also sometimes, of course, the fixed customer premise equipment or fixed wireless. And so this is, I think, a very strong proposition that fixed wireless can ride on this overall momentum in the ecosystem, and also that this application and digitalization of society can use fixed wireless on the other hand. So it's a perfect marriage, if you want. And what we do in 6G development now in standardization and in product development is to build on the learnings from 5G, both the successes and also the shortcomings, because we have had 10 years of innovation since the 5G was incipiated. So we have a lot of new technology to take from and bring into standards and bring into products as well. Regarding the spectrum, which is one important thing, is, and we have one working group in Bharat 6G Alliance for that as well. We designed 6G for the existing bands, so you have them in the list in the middle column there. And we also talk about adding new spectrum, which is very important. So there is good traction for upper 6 gigahertz in the world. So India is on board on that, very likely, and also China and Brazil and other regions like Europe. So we will have most of the world population being creating an ecosystem around 6 gigahertz. So that's very important. And then next year we have the World Radio Conference for 7 to 8 gigahertz as well to discuss. And that looks also quite promising in many countries, including India. And then 6G capabilities to the right. I won't go through the whole list, but we have learned quite a bit from the 5G journey. And we also want to make full use of the AI capabilities coming around. So we designed the 6G standard and the products to be AI native in a sense that they are all we have considered AI functionality from the beginning integrated in the stack. Everything from silicon and to the protocol layers. So that is very briefly about the 6G ambitions overall. And if we go back to fixed wireless and spectrum, I brought this example just to highlight the importance of the 6 to 8 gigahertz. And the ability for us to reuse the existing grid and aggregate spectrum with lower bands. So here is an example of a suburb with fixed wireless access service. You see the map to the left, where we have from the beginning existing bands, low band, mid band, and then we add 200 megahertz of fixed wireless access service. And then we try to understand, okay, how much capacity can we squeeze out of this combined system? And that's the very busy diagram to the right. So it's a little bit too busy for this kind of presentation, but so sorry for that. But if you look at one example, taking the solid yellow line to the solid green line, which is the cell edge performance when adding these 200 megahertz on top of existing bands, then you get a fairly stunning plus 500% gain in your network. And despite the fact that 6 to 8 gigahertz is a quite high band, so the propagation characteristics at the cell edge is not the best. It's not as good as low band, but aggregating it with these new higher bands with the existing band is what makes the difference. And so we use 6G carrier aggregation here, removing some, hopefully some in the standard, some of the limitations of 5G carrier aggregation. We also use what we call uplink downlink decoupling, so we can anchor every device on the downlink, the best downlink carrier and the best uplink carrier, and they can be different. So this is just one example based on simulations. We haven't standardized 6G fully yet, so these are kind of ambitions for the future, but it shows the power of aggregating assets together in the full 6G system to come. And just to finish off here very soon, we just make again the point that in the past, fixed wireless access is a success because of or thanks to or largely integrated with the 5G ecosystem. And we want to make sure that fixed wireless access is fully considered now when we standardize and develop 6G, so it can also leverage the 6G ecosystem and global scale and innovation that we get from the 3GPP and the spectrum allocations we have for that, and that we can pool the resource across the spectrum bands and so on, as we showed in the example. So one standardized and integrated 3GPP technology stack for 6G is what we are working for, and fixed wireless access can be a part of it and also benefit from that going forward. So I think it's time to wrap up. So conclusion, very briefly then, 6G as an integrated platform for AI and digitalization of society and enterprises. As I tried to explain, it will be very important that we care about connectivity overall, and fiber cannot serve all the needs. We have to have the wireless connectivity, both for mobile and moving anything that moves, and also to homes and enterprises with fixed wireless access. And we have an opportunity now here in India to lead in 6G. And again, like Professor David talked about in the very beginning, leveraging the very strong 5G position that we have developed in this country, and making sure that we can also lead in the 6G era that is about to come. And fixed wireless access then can also ride on that huge 5G, 6G ecosystem and continue to benefit. And vice versa, fixed wireless can also provide value for society, serving the unserved and underserved, in particular in rural India and rural parts of other countries, and also provide network monetization for the network operators that in turn allows more investment. So with that, we thank you and hope for questions. We have at least a couple of questions in the chat and also maybe some other questions coming. So thank you a lot for your attention.
So thank you, both experts. So I think you can answer the question which is raised by Mr. Aditya Chaudhary in the chat. You can see, and by that time I will be bringing the other questions as well, which I think participants have asked during the registration. So you may proceed with the Aditya Chaudhary, which is written in the public.
Right. Okay, I can start, John, if you want to, and then you can fill in. I think these are excellent questions, and I think these are questions that anyone pursuing fixed wireless access has to think about very carefully. So the first one is backhaul. Of course, if you are to increase your service area and you want to boost your access link and add frequencies and so on in the wireless link, you have to have backhaul. And the question here is, where is the border where the transport or backhaul becomes the bottleneck? And I don't have any numbers off the top of my head, but we can say that this must be part of the growth planning. I mentioned this business process and planning per area. And of course, it's easier to address an area where the towers or the sites are fiberized. So that is an obvious piece of the puzzle. Where do I address my next fixed wireless area? Okay, let's go for areas where my sites are not limited by backhaul. Then we have also developments in the backhaul. So I would like to just mention the microwave developments that are going on as well. So the backhaul, even though not fiberized, a site can be very well served by very capable microwave links as well. So that's another thing. And then, of course, it is inevitable that if we want very broad coverage from fixed wireless, then we also need to think about in what pace do I fiberize the sites going forward. How is it part of my planning? And we can all see that to pull backhaul to the mobile sites is much more cost efficient than pulling fiber to all the households that John showed very clearly in the slide before. So yes, very valid question, and there needs to be a backhaul plan as well in the process of building out fixed wireless. Then the rural one, I think you're right that I think India is generally blessed by a fairly tight grid, actually, compared to other countries that are less populous and have more bigger rural areas where no one actually lives. So I think here we need to also think about which frequency layers can be added, and I think we should also we should have brought that some of the developments we have made for the existing bands as well that can come into play is massive MIMO for the FDD bands, so both for low bands but also for the mid-band FDD, which can actually stretch out the coverage to more households and more users from not only the low bands but also the mid bands. I don't know, John, if you have anything to add on that one.
No, I think you covered them very well. I think yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then I think these were the various organizations, those who, once we approached them, they registered here. But more important, these are the various broad questions. I am sure that these might have been answered. If not, then you can take some relevant questions from here.
All right. Maybe, John, if you can start with a comment on the device types, because I think you're running this community around device providers globally for the GSA. So maybe you have a comment on the device types for globally and for 6G and for India, perhaps.
Yeah. So that's thank you, Håkan. So at the GSA, the Global Vendor Mobile Association, we have a fixed wireless access forum. We have more than 30 companies involved on that forum. And that includes network infrastructure companies, includes chipset providers, includes module providers, includes also device providers. So we have a broad ecosystem of companies. And again, this is global scale and innovation ecosystem. And then, of course, as I was mentioning in the offerings briefly, there are different type of devices because it's not one type of fixed wireless. There are multiple type of fixed wireless offerings. And I think there is a very large of availability and also innovation from a very entry-level type of fixed wireless devices that could be very low affordable cost to other devices that are for outdoor long range antennas that you'll be maybe over 20 kilometers away from the tower and you can still get a good broadband. And then you have something in between which could be for more urban areas, self-installation. Now we see innovations on window mount type of devices. So there are many options, and there are the GSA tracks. I think there are more than 200 device announced for fixed wireless on 5G. I think even more than 400 for 4G. So the 6G, we don't have devices yet, but we start to see discussions on the upper 6 gigahertz type of ecosystem. So I think we have a very good, vibrant device ecosystem.
Very good. So let's see here. I think questions 2 and 3 and some of the ones towards the end we have hopefully covered decently well. On 4, I would almost, this is a super broad question, secure by design architectures and standards. So I will almost, and this is not only applicable to fixed wireless, so I will almost request or propose that we could have a dedicated activity maybe in Bharat 60 Alliance context to talk about security and risk and cyber threats and resilience and things like that. I think it's too short to handle as a single question here, but I do acknowledge that it's important for fixed wireless, but it's important for 6G as a whole. And then maybe to finalize the question 5, we didn't focus on that so much in the talk. I mentioned it, the AI in networks and the ambitions we have to build the standards and the products of 6G AI native, in the sense that we design it in the capabilities from the beginning. And here, I think there is no particular super breakthrough with 6G as a radio access technology. We are already beginning, and since a while started to introduce AI in the networks as a means to make all the protocol layers more efficient. So if we think from the top to the bottom, we have launched silicon now that you might have seen as well, that sits even in the radio and can perform the tasks and the multiplications and so on, that is very suited for AI inference. And the same type of silicon sits in our baseband if we talk about Ericsson. But I think the industry as a whole is embracing this very rapidly now. So even from the radio layers and upwards throughout the protocol stacks, I've been, in my previous job, I was working very much with layer 2, so the RRM layers of the stack. And there we clearly have very advanced AI coming into our products already in 5G or 5G advanced. So that is happening. Then we have, if we go one step further up, we have AI for network operations as well, and we have the O-RAN architecture with RApps responsible to tune the networks and so on. And for network operations as a whole, the network autonomy 4.0 and etc. Or level 4, that is also happening already on 5G. And now we're trying to reap the insights from what we already did and are doing on 5G to make sure that the 6G standards are ready, so that they don't block any innovation for the coming era. So I think all of those planning enhancements and all of those efficiency improvements can also benefit fixed wireless access, of course, as part of this stack. So I think it's another reason to be part of this as the innovation ecosystem progresses here. It's very dynamic area, and so it's the question is very well timed. I think it's in the middle of a very dynamic innovation period for Ericsson and for the rest of the industry. Okay, I think I hope we have covered the questions on the screen here decently well, actually. And did we have
one more question in the chat box.
Sorry?
There is one more question in the chat box by Mr. Jagdish.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's address that also. Yes, very good. So when we started out with fixed wireless access, this is a decades-long evolution story, really. But when we the modern era of fixed wireless access started back in the late 4G cycles, around 2016, 2017, when we noticed that actually 4G access is already pretty good. Radio access and network access for this type of service. We started to say, okay, can we make even 4G more efficient for fixed wireless access, which has a separate characteristics. The device is fixed, placed, it's powered so that we can have a higher power class because the batteries doesn't drain out like in phones. and also it can be placed outdoors. So we have a better link quality than potentially a smartphone that is in the basement or deep indoor somewhere. So we started to see, so actually already the 5G standard includes some of those things, that we can have a high power device. We can benefit a little bit from knowing that it's a fixed wireless access connection. But we have not made a choice to make super advanced or super special solutions for fixed wireless access, and that is because we want to be able to ride on the same chipset scale, the same kind of network products, the same device type of designs as the general ecosystem. So there is a trade-off here, how much special design we do for fixed wireless access. Anyway, so that is a kind of response, and I think we will take the same approach for 6G, but bearing in mind that fixed wireless access is a very successful service now, so we might have to do a little bit more to cater for that. John?
Yeah, maybe what I can complement is, I think we have seen that trying to use wireless for fixed broadband is not a new concept. We have even for those long time on the network, we have seen these in 2G, 3G. But I think what we see with 5G is that you are creating this multi-service network, and that I think will be even bigger with 6G. And I think going back to the AI and the analytics, I think that will enable different functionality to really fulfill the need of different services. I think that type of functionality, either if it is we have a feature on AI for link adaptation, or you're going to think about location of services or different type of users. I think that will continue to be a very important thing. Then, of course, there are different type of, if you think characteristics, both on the network, but also on the device, different power classes. So fixed wireless devices can have different power classes, or you can have more transmitter antennas because you don't have a size limitation, or you have power to the device, is not a battery. So we're going to see continue to see some improvements that are more fixed wireless specific. And I think AI and analytics will really support that. I agree with Håkan that we're still going to have an integrated system benefiting for this global scale, but we're going to see, I think with AI, many more customization supporting fixed wireless.
So we have come to an end, and I request Astha and request all my other two colleagues, Swapnil and Faisal, to be online. And one announcement that next Tech Talk will be 5G Advanced Trailblazing, the evolution towards 6G by Mr. Mahesh Baswaraju on 18th of June at 11:30 again by he represent RNS. So I request you all that even join. I have given the chat box. So that is on 18th from 11:30. And back, Astha. Sir, Chair, would you like to say something? Okay, then Astha, to you.
Thank you, Patrick sir, for giving me this opportunity. And on behalf of the organizing team, it is my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks following today's insightful session on mobile industry growth into the 6G era with fixed wireless access. I would like to express a sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers from Ericsson, Mr. Håkan and Mr. John, for sharing their valuable perspectives and global insights. I was very much fascinated seeing those data and graphs, and you have provided a very lucid picture about the evolving FWA industry and how it is going to be important for the 6G dynamics. And we truly appreciate the depth of your insights on how FWA can transform the connectivity, unlock new opportunities, and support inclusive digital growth in the coming years. I would also thank my organizing team, Swapnil and Faisal, our chairman, Professor David Kulpillai Patak sir, for the efforts in coordinating and successfully conducting this session. And I would also like to thank all the participants for joining us today and for your active engagement. Your presence and interest made this session meaningful and interactive. Thank you once again and having a great day.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.